Breaking news! Arsenal enter the shock race for Cristian Romero. Hello Gunners, welcome back to Arsenal Daily Talk, your number one destination for the latest Arsenal transfer news. Breaking updates, match analysis and everything happening at the Emirates. If you love Arsenal as much as we do, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and let's dive straight into today's massive Arsenal news. Come on you Gunners. Gunners, this is one of the most unbelievable transfer stories of the summer. Reports emerging over the last 24 hours claim that Arsenal have become surprise contenders in the race to sign Tottenham Hotspur captain Cristian Romero. The Argentina World Cup winning defender is reportedly attracting interest from several top clubs, including Chelsea, Inter Milan and Barcelona, while Tottenham are said to value him at around £42.5 million. Now, before we go any further, it's important to make one thing clear. This is currently a transfer rumour. There has been no official confirmation from Arsenal or Tottenham that negotiations have begun. However, the fact that Arsenal are being linked with Tottenham's captain has immediately sent football fans into shock. Why? Because transfers between Arsenal and Tottenham are incredibly rare. The North London rivalry is one of the fiercest in world football. Players almost never move directly between these two clubs, especially when they are club captains or key starters. Cristian Romero has established himself as one of the Premier League's most aggressive and dominant central defenders. Since arriving from Serie A, he has become a leader at Tottenham thanks to his fearless tackling, aerial dominance, leadership qualities and winning mentality. As a World Cup winner with Argentina, Romero brings elite-level experience that every top club wants in its dressing room. But why would Arsenal even be interested? Mikel Arteta has consistently shown that he wants defenders who are comfortable on the ball, physically dominant and capable of playing under pressure. Arsenal already possess one of the strongest defensive units in Europe, but adding another world-class centre-back would provide incredible depth for the Premier League and Champions League campaigns. Imagine a defensive group featuring William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Christian Mosquera, Ben White and Cristian Romero. On paper, that would be one of the deepest defensive squads anywhere in Europe. However, this is where the story becomes complicated. Tottenham would be extremely reluctant to strengthen one of their biggest rivals. Selling their captain directly to Arsenal would almost certainly cause outrage among Spurs supporters and could become one of the most controversial transfers in Premier League history. That's why many football insiders still believe a move to Arsenal would be the most difficult option, despite the reported interest. Meanwhile, Inter Milan continue to push for Romero, while Barcelona have also monitored his situation. Chelsea are another Premier League club reportedly keeping an eye on developments. So what should Arsenal fans make of all this? At this stage, the interest appears to be exactly that. Interest. There are no reliable reports of an official Arsenal bid or advanced negotiations. The story has generated headlines because of the rivalry involved, not because the transfer is close to being completed. But in football, we've learned never to say never. Transfer windows are full of surprises, and Arsenal's recruitment team have shocked supporters before by targeting players that nobody expected. Could Cristian Romero really swap white for red in North London? Could Arteta be planning one of the boldest signings in Premier League history? Or is this simply another rumour that will disappear over the coming days? Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll break down exactly why Mikel Arteta might admire Cristian Romero, how he would fit Arsenal's tactical system, and whether this blockbuster move could make sense from a football perspective. Why Mikel Arteta could want Cristian Romero. Welcome back, Gunners. Now that we've covered the shocking reports linking Arsenal with Cristian Romero, it's time to answer the biggest question on every fan's mind. Why would Mikel Arteta even consider signing Tottenham's captain? At first glance, the rumour seems almost impossible to believe. Arsenal already have one of the strongest defences in European football. William Saliba has developed into one of the world's elite centre-backs. Gabriel Magalhaes continues to be a dominant presence. And the Gunners have added depth with Christian Mosquera, while Ben White can also play centrally when needed. So why add another defender? The answer lies in Arteta's ambition. Ever since taking charge of Arsenal, Arteta has made it clear that he wants 2 top-quality players competing for every position. That's how Manchester City built their dominance, and it's the model Arsenal have been trying to follow. The club isn't just trying to compete for the Premier League anymore. They're aiming to win the Champions League, challenge in domestic cups, and remain consistent across a long and demanding season. That requires depth. Cristian Romero is not just another defender. He's a player with elite experience at both club and international level. He played a crucial role in Argentina's World Cup triumph and has established himself as one of the Premier League's toughest central defenders. His biggest strength is aggression. Romero loves stepping out of defence to win the ball early. He presses attackers high up the pitch and rarely gives strikers time to turn. That style suits teams that defend aggressively, something Arsenal have increasingly embraced under Arteta. Another key strength is his aerial ability. Whether defending set pieces or attacking corners, Romero is a major threat. Arsenal scored several important goals from corners last season, and adding another powerful header of the ball would only strengthen that weapon. He's also comfortable bringing the ball out from the back. Modern football demands defenders who can start attacks with accurate passing, and Romero has shown he can do exactly that. Of course, no player is perfect. One criticism of Romero throughout his career has been his discipline. His aggressive approach has occasionally led to unnecessary fouls, yellow cards, and even red cards. Arsenal pride themselves on defensive control, so Arteta would likely want Romero to channel that aggression more carefully if he ever joined. Romero has captained Tottenham and Argentina on occasion, showing he can organise teammates and thrive under pressure. Winning titles isn't just about talent, it's about mentality. Arteta has repeatedly spoken about building a squad full of leaders, and Romero certainly fits that profile. Now let's talk about the tactical picture. Imagine Arsenal lining up in a back 4. Saliba could continue on the right side of central defence. Gabriel could remain on the left. Romero would provide elite competition and allow Arteta to rotate without a significant drop in quality. He could also partner either Saliba or Gabriel whenever injuries, suspensions, or fixture congestion demand changes. Competition often brings out the best in players. If every defender knows their place isn't guaranteed, standards rise across the squad. However, signing Romero wouldn't just be about football. It would send a huge statement to the rest of the Premier League. Taking one of Tottenham's biggest stars, if it were even possible, would demonstrate Arsenal's growing attraction under Arteta. But this is where reality begins to set in. Tottenham are highly unlikely to strengthen one of their fiercest rivals. Even if Arsenal admire Romero, convincing Spurs to sell directly across North London would be an enormous challenge. And Arsenal aren't alone. Chelsea, Inter Milan and Barcelona have all been linked with Romero, meaning the competition would be intense if he were to become available. At this stage, there is no reliable reporting that Arsenal have submitted a formal offer or entered advanced negotiations. So while the footballing reasons for Arsenal's interest are easy to understand, completing such a transfer would be another matter entirely. In part 3, we'll examine the biggest obstacles to this blockbuster move, compare Arsenal's chances against the other interested clubs, and discuss whether this sensational transfer has any realistic chance of happening. The biggest obstacles: can Arsenal really sign Cristian Romero? Welcome back, Gunners. We've looked at why Cristian Romero could appeal to Mikel Arteta from a football perspective. But now we come to the most important question of all. Can Arsenal actually pull off this sensational transfer? To answer that, we need to examine the biggest obstacles standing in the way. The first and perhaps biggest obstacle is Tottenham Hotspur themselves. This isn't just another Premier League club, this is Arsenal's fiercest rival. The North London derby is one of the most passionate rivalries in world football, and for decades, direct transfers between the two clubs have been extremely rare. When they have happened, they've often created huge controversy among supporters. Cristian Romero isn't just another player in Tottenham's squad. He's one of their leaders, a World Cup winner with Argentina, and one of the first names on the team sheet. Selling such an important player directly to Arsenal would be incredibly difficult for Spurs to justify, regardless of the transfer fee. Even if Arsenal were willing to meet Tottenham's reported valuation of around £42.5 million, Spurs could simply refuse to negotiate because of the rivalry. That's why many football analysts believe that if Romero leaves Tottenham, a move abroad would be far more likely than a transfer across North London. And that's where Arsenal face another major challenge. They are not alone in this race. Reports suggest that Chelsea, Inter Milan and Barcelona are all monitoring Romero's situation. Chelsea could be looking to strengthen their defence with another experienced Premier League centre-back. Inter Milan know Romero well from his time in Serie A and could offer him a return to Italian football, where he first established himself as one of Europe's best defenders. Barcelona have also been linked with defensive reinforcements as they continue to reshape their squad. If all these clubs are genuinely interested, Arsenal would face fierce competition for both the player's signature and any negotiations. Then there is the financial side. Although £42.5 million may seem like a reasonable price for a player of Romero's quality, Arsenal must also think about wages, agent fees, bonuses and financial fair play considerations. The Gunners have already invested heavily in recent transfer windows. Every major signing has to fit within the club's long-term financial strategy. Arteta and sporting director Andrea Berta are expected to prioritise players who not only improve the squad but also fit Arsenal's age profile, tactical system and wage structure. Romero certainly offers quality, but Arsenal must ask themselves whether investing such a significant amount in another centre-back is the best use of their budget. Many supporters believe the club's priorities may lie elsewhere, such as adding another attacking player or strengthening midfield depth. There is also the player's perspective. Would Cristian Romero himself be willing to make one of the most controversial moves in Premier League history? Joining Arsenal directly from Tottenham would guarantee intense media attention and could permanently damage his relationship with Spurs supporters. Some players are prepared to make such bold decisions. Others prefer to avoid becoming the centre of a rivalry that could follow them for the rest of their careers. At this stage, there have been no reliable reports indicating that Romero has agreed personal terms with Arsenal or expressed a desire to make the switch. That is an important distinction. Being linked with a club is very different from a transfer being closed. Transfer windows are filled with rumours, inquiries and speculative reports. Only a small percentage of those stories ever become completed deals. So where does that leave Arsenal today? The reported interest makes for a fascinating headline, and there's no doubt Romero is a defender capable of improving almost any team in Europe. However, the political, financial and sporting obstacles make this one of the most difficult transfers Arsenal could attempt this summer. That doesn't mean it's impossible. Football has produced incredible surprises before, but based on everything we know right now, this remains a long-shot transfer rather than an advanced negotiation. In part 4, we'll bring you the latest verdict on this story, discuss what Arsenal may do if a Romero move proves impossible, and reveal whether Gunners should genuinely believe this blockbuster transfer could happen, or whether it's simply one of the biggest rumours of the summer. Final verdict: could Cristian Romero really join Arsenal? Welcome back, Gunners. We have reached the final part of today's huge transfer story, and now it is time to look at the biggest question of all. Is Cristian Romero to Arsenal a realistic possibility, or is this simply another transfer rumour creating headlines? The idea of Cristian Romero wearing an Arsenal shirt sounds unbelievable. A Tottenham captain moving to Arsenal, a World Cup winning defender crossing North London, a player who has battled against the Gunners in one of football's biggest rivalries, suddenly becoming part of Mikel Arteta's squad? It would be one of the most dramatic Premier League transfers in modern history. But football is a business, and sometimes surprising deals happen when the conditions are right. Let's look at the situation carefully. From Arsenal's perspective, there is no doubt that Cristian Romero would be an attractive player. He has Premier League experience. He has Champions League experience. He has won the biggest trophy in international football. With Argentina, he has the personality, aggression and mentality that top clubs look for. Arteta has always wanted players who can handle pressure, compete at the highest level and bring a winning mentality into the dressing room. Romero fits many of those qualities. However, Arsenal must also consider whether this position is their biggest priority. The Gunners already have elite options at centre-back. William Saliba has become one of the best defenders in world football. Gabriel Magalhaes has been one of Arsenal's most reliable performers. The club also has other defensive options capable of contributing. So the question becomes, would Arsenal spend around £42.5 million on another centre-back, or would that money be better invested elsewhere? This is the kind of decision that the Arsenal recruitment team must carefully analyse. A top club does not only sign great players, a top club signs the right players at the right moment. Now let's talk about Tottenham's position. Even if Arsenal are interested, convincing Spurs to sell directly to their biggest rivals would be incredibly complicated. Tottenham would have to accept losing one of their most important players to Arsenal, knowing that Romero could strengthen a direct Premier League competitor. For that reason alone, many believe Tottenham would prefer selling Romero abroad rather than allowing him to join Arsenal. A move to Inter Milan or Barcelona could potentially be easier for everyone involved. But we also know one thing about football. Whether it is Romero or another defensive target, the message is clear. Arsenal are no longer simply trying to compete. They are searching for players who can help them win major trophies. And if a player like Cristian Romero becomes available, you can expect Arsenal to at least evaluate the opportunity. Gunners, now we want to hear from you. Would you sign Cristian Romero for Arsenal? Would you accept a Tottenham captain joining the Emirates? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Arsenal Daily Talk for more Arsenal transfer news, breaking updates and everything happening around the Emirates. Come on, you Gunners.